evaluation 4. How did you use media technologies in the construction, research, planning and evaluation stages? Research and planning. One of the key components to my research and planning section was the use of WordPress. It also played a massive part in the whole of my media project, but in research and planning is when I used it the most. WordPress allowed me to update a blog daily. I could upload stuff such as what I'd done in a lesson, what I planned to do. So I'd create something what you'd know as a Gantt chart. This is where I'd say what I was going to do for the rest of the week and what I was going to work on. But whenever I created like a new draft or a plan, I would upload this to WordPress. So my WordPress blog is filled with documentation of me working on my project. Another key component to my research and planning was the use of Prezi. Prezi is an online Web 2.0 application which allows you to create online presentations, publish them, and show them to anyone in the world. I used mine during one of the appendices which required me to give a pitch to the rest of the class. I put together all of my drafts ideas for my magazine so I could tell the class what my plan was for my magazine. I included images, videos, fonts, colours, demonstrated everything which I wanted to do with my magazine. It was particularly helpful at helping me get organised and plan what I wanted to do. Something which worked parallel with my Prezi presentation was SurveyMonkey. SurveyMonkey was another Web 2.0 application. SurveyMonkey allowed me to create surveys and distribute them to friends, family, fellow pupils and teachers. I used SurveyMonkey to ask my audience what they thought about my ideas. So what they thought of my colour scheme, what they thought of my model, what they thought of names. So it really helped me and went really well with my Prezi because I showed them my ideas through the Prezi and then I got the feedback through SurveyMonkey. Another vital part to my research and planning was the use of Pinterest. This is another Web 2.0 application but also a mobile app which I'd never used before, but I used this to create my mood board. What you do is you search its catalogues and pages, and then if you see an image or a video or something you like, you pin it. So I scoured through the entire Pinterest searching for fonts, colours, layouts, anything to do with magazines, pressed the pin button and created a mood board out of everything I liked. This was particularly helpful to help me see different magazines, different layouts, and stuff which I could pastiche and encode into my own media text. The final thing which I used for my research and planning was Bubbless. This is something I was very familiar with because I used it in my AS Foundation portfolio project. I used it once again. I used this to brainstorm initial ideas. It was particularly helpful for me to get all of my ideas in front of me and evaluate them, see which I liked, see which I didn't like. I've always found it very useful for my projects, and it's something which I will probably continue to use in the future. Construction. An absolute vital component to the entire creation of all of my media text was Adobe Photoshop CC 2014. They played a huge part in the creation of all of my text. I used it to create my front cover, double page spread contents page, along with Adobe InDesign, advert page and my 2 ancillary products. It was very important, seeing as though I was creating an artistic style magazine, to manipulate my photos using Photoshop to give it different effects. It was also important for creating my masthead and cover lines. I found it really useful because I could use different shortcuts and it made my magazine look really professional. Without it, I wouldn't have been able to create the product which I did. It was really good for encoding different colours and stuff like that in. On screen you can see the construction of my media text. I've got quite a few videos showing different tools, techniques, shortcuts which I use to create the text. But it was definitely the key component to the construction of my text. Finally, for the creation of my magazine webpage, I used Wix.com, which allowed me to create a free website. I created about 6 pages and it was fully customizable. I could choose the colours, the pictures, the applications, anything which I wanted to encode into it. Another key component to the construction of my media text was Web 2.0 application, Dafont. This is where I got all of the fonts for my front cover, double page, spread contents page, and advert, and stuff for my ancillaries from. It was very good for finding professional and cool looking fonts. Evaluation. For my evaluation, I used a variety of technologies, some which I was familiar with, some which I weren't. The majority of my videos were made using either iMovie on Apple or Windows Movie Maker on a PC. I also used Prezi for my evaluation 2, which is something I was fairly familiar with. And for my evaluation 3, I used something called Powtoons, which was something I wasn't too familiar with. But like Prezi, it allows you to make an online presentation using like animations and stuff like that. And it sort of gave my evaluations a different twist. I could try out something new, and it allowed me to explore different media technologies which I could use. Equipment. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about the equipment which I used to make my project possible. I used stuff such as a MacBook Pro, an iPhone 6, and a Nikon D35100.